And that was said to me by a very senior, older guy from the intelligence community. And I thought that was pretty incredible. Also, just the extent to which the legacy program is real. This isn't like 50 guys, sitting in a quiet, dark room. You're talking about a massive program with thousands of people going to work every day and dealing with this. And to me, that is mind-blowing, Yeah. The guy next to you at the pizza place, on a Saturday night might be working on this during the day,
Right.
The guy who, the other father at your kid's Little League game.
Yeah.
This is what he deals with, right? The fact that is a thing, and we had a similar dynamic for the Manhattan Project. There were all these people working on it, and they kept it secret, right? And their neighbors and friends didn't know. But this is that on steroids. So, after the Manhattan Project, which was had a budget in the billions, this situation arose, and it had to be even more secret than the Manhattan Project, because the Manhattan Project, we found out in hindsight, leaked, right? There were moles.
Right.
So we needed to make this even more secret and give it more money and more resources and more,
their neighbors and friends didn't know, but
counter
this is
intel.
that on steroids. So, after
And
the
more
Manhattan Project,
threats.
Which is counter intel.
Yeah, I mean, threats if you reveal those secrets. But it's like the more this stuff gets discussed, the more I go back to what Lazar said. Because what Lazar is describing from the 1980s is exactly what these people are saying now. They've had these things. They've been trying to figure them out. They've been working on them. At least in the 1980s, they hadn't totally cracked it yet. But they did know how to operate them, and that they would do these tests. But everything was so compartmentalized. He said he wasn't allowed to talk to the metallurgist. There was different people that were assigned to it.
Yeah.
What they were assigned to do was to try to figure out how the propulsion system worked.
Yeah.
And then there was other people that were assigned to try to figure out how the metallurgy was formed. Because whatever it was seemed like it was 3D printed. It didn't have any seams.
Yeah.
And when he talks about it, it sounds exactly like what people are talking about today, which is really bananas.
Yeah.
Because this is late 1980s, and he's the first guy to crack through with this stuff.
Yeah, everything is so, in that secret program, everything is so siloed out where you could have one team of defense contractors who are working on one thing. They're not even told it's from an alien spacecraft. They're just told, here's the thing. It might be Russia. It might be China. Tell us how it works.
Right.
They're just kept in a little bubble. And one of the issues now is that everything's become so overclassified and so siloed that it's actually hurting progress. And that's a lot of the scientists in my film are voicing that. And one of the other things I learned recently that isn't in the film, Jay Stratton, who ran the UAP task force, he told me that during that time, he had started a talk with one of the senior scientists at Lockheed, who was frustrated by how overclassified everything was. It even made it hard for the defense contractors to get the right manpower and brains on it, because not everyone can be cleared to do the work, right? There's all these red tape hurdles to progress, right? And so they had made a plan to move one of the crafts that had been recovered that was in Lockheed's possession into the possession of the UAP task force. And then the task force was going to be able to put more brain power towards it. And then the head of science and technology at the CIA shut it down in the middle of the transfer. They had actually secured a hangar on a military base and prepped it to be a classified hangar that would hold this craft, and they were stopped. So the issue of overclassification.
Did they know what happened after that?
Yeah, the CIA shut the whole transaction down, and the craft stayed in Lockheed's possession. And then that particular leader within Lockheed died about 2 years later. So the effort kind of stopped. He had cancer. The overclassification is definitely a hurdle for this. And our competitors don't necessarily have that. There's no free will in China. She can just be like, hey, you're the smartest guy graduating your class. You're going to go work for the nation on this,
Right, period.
And here, the problem is no one knows it's real. One of the things I hope the film changes is it makes the scientific community know that this is a valid area of inquiry. This is real. It's a real situation. And there's a ton of problems for the next generation of engineers and scientists to solve, And so hopefully it inspires them.
Thank you,
and
Joe,
helps us
for the
make
use
progress, because there's a lot of
your
progress that could be
video.
made here.
Well, it certainly seems like it, but it's like one of the things that you guys propose in the film that I think maybe the only way forward is some sort of a mass amnesty to all these people that did lie to Congress and probably misappropriated funds and maybe stole a little bit here and there. Like if that doesn't happen, no one is going to push to make this public. No one's going to push for like actual full disclosure because it leaves them too exposed. And if they do have the kind of power that they must have to be running an organization of thousands of people working on something with unbelievable amounts of money being transferred to these programs, they don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
Like this is like it's a honeypot that they're drawing from, right? And they're probably still taking too much, or there's no oversight. You're still lying to Congress, and you'd have to have some national security amnesty program saying, look, in the interest of national security, it's critically important that we get all of our best people working on this. The only way we're ever going to really do that is to completely reveal that this is actually really happening. This is real crafts from somewhere or something. We have them. We'll tell you where we have them. And I think right now, people wouldn't even freak out, because I would think that people would freak out if there was some sort of official narrative of disclosure. But that's sort of been breached, right? The New York Times breached that in 2017.
I think this film is that. I mean, this is 34 credible people putting their reputation and name on the line, which I honestly, Joe, I think it's stronger evidence than any video or photo. These days, you could put a 4K video of a giant craft over Vandenberg, and half the human population will say it's AI or creating some visual effects program. But someone of note putting their name and reputation on the line, their career on the line, the rest of their lives on the line, to say this is what I know to be true. To me, that's the greatest evidence that exists. But I do think, to your point, amnesty is something that's gonna have to be figured out, because while it's hard for anyone to accept letting people off the hook for wrongdoings, right? It does seem like it's in the best interest of the bigger picture.
100%.
Because these people just aren't good. They have no incentive to come forward with what they've learned. And so to quote Rubio in the film, he says, look, this is not a endeavor to go and punish anyone, but we need to know what they learned.
Right.
And I think he's totally dead on. And,
is he in favor of some sort of an amnesty program as well?
Yeah, he says on camera in the film, he's like, I'm not trying to punish anyone. I need to know what they learned, because taxpayers paid for this, and it's in our interest to know what's going on. But the other thing that's needed is real whistleblower protection, not the whistleblower protection that's been passed so far. Like much stronger legal protections, so that people like the folks I talked to, the special forces guys I talked to, were going to come forward and then decided they thought to be forfeiting their lives. You've got to change that set of circumstances. You got to make those people feel like that's not going to happen to them.
Right.
And what I think ultimately is going to have to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it happens soon after the film comes out, I think a sitting president has to step to the microphone and say, definitively, humanity's not alone in the universe. We have recovered technology of non-human origin. So have other nations. There is a high-stakes secret Cold War race to reverse engineer this technology. We need to win this race, and the U.S. intends to lead in this new chapter. I think that needs to happen, like a level set of basic facts, and I really do think it will happen.
Well, if that is going to happen, I think Trump might be the only guy that's willing to do something crazy.
I think it's very likely that he does that. I know that he is aware of the film. I know he's aware of what people in his administration say.
Has he watched it? You know that?
He has not watched the film, but I know he's very aware of it, and I know that they are discussing internally how they're going to react to the film publicly, and I also know that he has very recently tasked Tulsi Gabbard with getting to the bottom of the situation and finding out for him what he needs to know that he doesn't know.
Really?
Yeah, and as Rubio said in the film, Rubio says on camera, on the record, on the film, that this has been kept from sitting presidents. And he goes into detail on how that's been done and how it's the career bureaucrats in certain elements of the government that control this information and just wait presidents out and don't feel like they have a need to know.
Right. Well, there were some people that tried to find information out in the beginning of the Trump administration. Who was it? There was someone that talked about it on record, and said he was told at every turn that you don't have the clearance.
Yeah, yeah. But here's the thing. Trump actually found out about the base facts in his last presidency and was contemplating stepping to the microphone then.
What base facts?
So Jay Stratton, who, ran the task force, he says on camera in my film that he briefed, that Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, asked for a briefing on the lay of the land because Trump asked him to get the briefing, and Trump had already known that the base facts that we're not alone in the universe, that there's been recovery of crashed craft, right? He knew those base facts, and he told Mnuchin that he was thinking about going public, and so Mnuchin reached out to Stratton to get a briefing, and he told Stratton that the reason he wanted the briefing is because he needed to be able to evaluate.
Greetings, everyone. This is Annestacia Komarovsk with the 444 4th Estate News. A little late trying to get out of that video with Joe Rogan talking about a movie that deals with visitors from a different part of the universe. So this is a very special edition. By the way, that was director of Age of Disclosure, which we will roll out with. But first, this is a special edition of the 444 4th Estate News live. And believe it or not, we've had a hard time going live and a lot of technical difficulties, much like the producers and the people who tried to bring you the truth. And that is, we are not alone. That is true. The movie, The Age of Disclosure, pretty much a documentary on the information that's being kept from the public. And I have been asked in the past to report what I knew, and I don't. But I'm going to join my colleagues, as you see back here, Fox, News Nation, everyone else who has done limited reporting on stories about UFOs. Well, they're just not flying. What if they're among us as well? That's the story of The Age of Disclosure. If you listen to the podcast, you'll hear a little bit about, they call it humanoids, but I'm told they like to be referred to as them. I'm sure they have a name too, so them. So I guess we are still all the people among, and them are among the humans, I guess. So I want to get up real quick because I'm not really crazy. And I know people they think that, but it's not true. Here you go. Let me show you this. The only way this camera will do it is if I literally stand up and show you. So up here, it won't show you. Hold on. Come on, camera. Well, on the monitor, I have Close Encounters of the Third Kind on the monitor. The director's cut queued up. That came out in the 70s, like 1977 or 1976. And I used my phone because that said third kind. So I used my phone. Okay, hold on. It locked up on me. And I said, well, what does a close encounter of the fourth kind look like? And that says, UFO event where humans is abducted by unidentified flying objects or its occupants. That's what it says. The truth of the matter there is they're not abducted necessarily, perhaps. But how about willing participants? Yeah, people that are willing to go for not just a trip across the country or the world. How about the universe? That'd be a pretty neat trip that I would sign up for personally. I'm all in. So that is kind of the story is we are definitely not alone. And can you handle the truth? Because that's the truth. Congress is dealing with it now. In the movie Age of Disclosure, which is kind of a documentary, it talks about how the president has to pretty much Now, come to the mic and tell us that yes, indeed, there are other beings, them, here on planet Earth. Yeah. See, I get to say that, but only because they actually came first. You just weren't watching. Close Encounters, when you look at that, everything seems very real. And the age of disclosure should pretty much seal the deal. And you can get that on Amazon Prime and watch it. I would recommend you get a group of folk together because it's a little expensive. So get a group of folk. You can rent it, or or buy it and share it on your Amazon Prime account. So those things are possible, and it's called the age of disclosure. So the other thing too is, the name of that title, it says friend or visitor. That's kind of what it means, a friend. So that's pretty much what we have here. These are not people that want to harm us. They want to protect us. And in the podcast, the Rogan podcast, they talk about it. He said they're like humanoids and stuff, but we got clarification. It's them. Okay, it's called them. And I don't know what Starbucks has anything to do with them. Somebody keeps joking around saying they work at Starbucks. Okay, I don't know if that's true, but they seem pretty normal then, huh? Because you get your coffee from them all the time. So, as you know, we're trying to keep it on time. That's one of our biggest problems. That we try to keep it to 14 minutes, and we're doing just fine. And so, pretty much, I've told you what's going on. And here in the Malibu, there's been many sightings of UFOs. Sometimes they call them drones, but they're not drones. If they are drones, they're planes that are being somewhat diverted over us, or in a circle around us. But here in Malibu, there's been reports of sightings for a very long time. So I say welcome to California. Welcome to the world. Welcome to planet Earth. Can I go with you? Please. I'd like to see the universe as well. Don't need to abduct me. I'll volunteer. Okay? So I'll take a camera or 2, 4. I'll take 4 cameras. Okay. But I kind of like to take a camera crew of 4. Myself, producer, camera person, and sound. 4. Just to keep it in the fourths. So yeah, Close Encounter of the Fourth Kind is abduction, but in reality is willing participants. Yeah, so who gets to go? Who's adventuresome to go? So I'm signing up for the team. Somewhere they'll need me. So I've been practicing for the big game. What I'm going to do now is let you do the movie review. So we'll call this the movie review because that's what we're doing. And we're going to roll out with the Age of Disclosure, which is available on Amazon Prime. And stand by, I'll try to get this ready for you real quick, and we'll roll out on that. I'll see you, I'll talk more about Thanksgiving tomorrow, but I got ready. I found a pine cone. So since we don't have room for a tree, we'll use a pine cone. So I'm going to play this out. So have a good evening, and I'll see you tomorrow right here on this channel. Oops, sorry. Misstart. Oh, sorry. We have to edit that. Yeah, it happens. Okay, here we go.
To receive the truth.
Humanity is not the only intelligence in the universe.
Humanity is not the only intelligent species.
We are absolutely not alone.
Non-human intelligence exists.
UAPs are real, they're here, and they're not human. I spent 25 years as a senior official with the CIA.
I've worked on highly classified UAP programs.
28 years as an astrophysicist.
I served as the 4th Director of National Intelligence.
Director of Aviation Security in the National Security Council.
A 1-star admiral after 32 years of service.
People that come forward with this, I feel like they've taken their life in their own hands.
I was recruited to a highly sensitive government program.
that investigated unidentified aerial phenomenon.
For over 16 years, on behalf of the U.S. government, I worked as a senior intelligence official on the unidentified aerial phenomenon topic.
We learned that the U.S. government was involved in a long-running secret war with other nations to collect and reverse engineer vehicles not made by humans.
I have seen with my own eyes non-human craft and non-human beings.
So look at that thing. It's rotating. There's a whole fleet of them.
The first country that cracks the code on this technology will be the leader for years to come.
China has established its own version of a UAP task force.
You think for a second that they wouldn't consider using it to achieve their ends of domination?
This is similar to the Manhattan Project. This is the atomic weapon on steroids.
This is so secret, very, very few people in our entire government have been allowed access to it.
Even presidents have been operating on a need-to-know basis, but that begins to ramp out of control.
It's not acceptable to have secret parts of government that no one ever sees.
You better be careful about a government that doesn't trust its people, because there's no telling what they'll pull on you.
This is the biggest discovery in human history.
You had information being locked away that could change the trajectory for species.
It has so many beneficial impacts, including clean energy.
We should have disclosure today. We should have disclosure tomorrow. The time has come.
What else you want to know?